And at this stage, is Stephen Lyons, he's followed Daniel Kinahan to Dubai, or does that come at a later point?
It's around about that time that Stephen moves to Dubai, simply because, like so many people in these positions, Stephen Lyons is not a stupid man. He realises that what's happened to Stephen Daniel is going to prompt a massive police investigation. The heat will be on, and he, along with several others, decide, I think it's probably time to get out of Scotland.
Mm. It's intriguing that he goes along with him. Like, we had heard, I suppose, in the run up to, I suppose there's that seismic moment. There's before the Regency and after the Regency for crime correspondents here in Ireland. But in the run up to the Regency, that a particular associate of the Kinahan organisation was gone to Scotland. He was a heavy guy called Paul Rice, that he was gone up to Scotland to try and sort things out and to give backup to some associates of theirs. But to see, like, very few people were in that inner circle that were invited and brought to Dubai along with Kinahan. The market in Scotland and that relationship with Stephen Lyons is clearly deeply important to Kinahan. He's enough troubles of his own, and yet he's certainly welcoming Lyons out with them to Dubai. And we know now the amount of power that Daniel Kinahan and the Kinahan organisation have had in Dubai in relation to getting people settled, residency permits, all that, businesses. So he's kind of like sanctioning Lyons, is he, to go to Dubai?
Very much so. I think it's a testament in a way to Stephen Lyons that he will have, one of a better expression, passed the tests that have probably been put in front of him by the Kinahan organisation, and he's come through flying colours. And they, as I said, from all accounts, the two men get on very well together. And I think the fact that he's invited into the Kinahans inner circle is testament to Stephen Lyons and what he brings to his organisation.
Mm. And he starts appearing in some of the pictures with the boxers as well, doesn't he, Stephen Lyons, over the years, the MTK boxers?
Yeah. I mean, as well as the MTK, you've obviously, there was several individuals, well-known individuals from Merseyside who came up here to get involved in MTK. They were out either in Spain or in Dubai. But Stephen Lyons is quite averse to publicity. There's not that many pictures of him. He tends to keep a low profile if he can. So I think the glitz and the glamour and the photographs may have not been his scene.
May not have been his choice.
No.
I suppose we're bringing him from 2017 into 1819. Still very powerful years for the Kinahan organisation. But in more recent times, and I think particularly since 2022, when Daniel Kinahan, Christopher Jr. and Christy Kinahan, along with other members of the organisation, were named by the US Treasury as being sanctioned, the first drugs gang in Europe to be hit with such sanctions, all of a sudden being with them or near them or around them becomes a little bit toxic. Stephen Lyons remains in Dubai, but has he missed something on the ground back home? Because the Daniels organisation seem to be regrouping, regathering, and shoots are forming again.
I think he'll obviously be more than aware of what's happening on a day by day, probably hour by hour basis. But clearly, if he's out in Dubai, he's pretty safe. He's out of the danger zone. Whereas if he's back here, I mean, Glasgow, whilst it's the biggest city in Scotland, is a relatively small city. People will know where you are. Mm. So it being out there in the UAE, it's probably best for him.
So this new wave of violence, Richard, when does this really begin? It's obviously culminated in this shooting in Spain, but there's been months of a lead up and a lot of tit for tat violence, is it all centered around the Lyons and Daniels, or is it more complex and other people being sucked in?
Yeah, well, it's more complex because it involves, or it starts about 3-4 months ago when a Glasgow-born gangster who now also resides in Dubai. He goes by the name of Ross McGill. His nickname is Miami. He has a £500,000 cocaine stash stolen from him after it was paid for in fake notes. Now, nobody knew really much about McGill. He was very high up in the Rangers Ultras, the Union Bears. That was probably his highest profile, but he goes out to Spain and then he relocates to Dubai, and then this happens, and I think a lot of people didn't expect what happened next, because McGill reacted, and he reacted quickly, and he reacted very violently. The guy who is supposed to have used the fake notes to buy the drugs is an associate of the aforementioned Mark Richardson. Mark Richardson, as I said, is currently inside, and McGill saw this as an opportunity to flex his own muscles, show other people that he wasn't going to be intimidated or run about, and also gave an opportunity for him to try and take Richardson out of the picture.
So McGill has this gang, I suppose, and they call themselves the Tamo Junto, if that's correctly pronounced. What is the origin of that name? Do we know?
Well, it's Portuguese, and it appeared that they've run a very, very slick social media campaign throughout this feud, and these videos purporting to be from Tamo Junto came up, and it's Portuguese for "we are together," and they've used this. Nobody really knows why that phrase has been used or where it came from, but yeah, Tamo Junto is directly linked to McGill.
So basically, the feud, while there's other characters and associates involved, still at the centre of it, probably at the heart of it, is that original falling out between the Daniels and the Lyons and those sort of traditional enemy lines. Now, there's other groupings that have, look, it's probably more simple to say there's two sides in each feud, isn't it? It's the same here in Dublin. A lot of the time, it's just a little bit more complex than that. And there's others, and then you can have sub-feuds and various feuds happening within a feud kind of thing. But I suppose really at the heart of this story, you still have those same significant characters from either the Daniels grouping and now, associates with the Richardsons, but also the Lyons family and associates are still at the heart of all this that's been going on in Scotland, and which has reignited, really.
As I said, Richardson using the Daniels, McGill has seen this as an opportunity not only to take over Richardson, but also he's realised that if he can employ, whatever word you want to use, some of the Lyons family, some of the guys who work for them to help him, because obviously he's 3,500 miles away in Dubai, and he's apparently said to the Lyons, if you help me get rid of Richardson and you get rid of the Daniels, you can have a large share of the spoils that are left over.
So it's the final kind of power grab here, isn't it? After all these years of feuding, it's the final, what the Lyons stroke McGill side see as an opportunity to wipe them out once and for all.
Yeah, that's been it. This is an opportunity, or it's certainly perceived by McGill and the Lyons to take over and to say, right, this is ours now. You're old school, your old hat. and we're taking over and we're running the show.
So, Richard, over the last few months, I mean, it's been pretty much constant violence, hasn't it? I mean, some of it of a relatively low level, like windows being put in, but there's been constant attacks, and those names keep coming back. For example, the widow of Gerbil Carroll, her home is attacked as well as part of this. It's really been very, very serious.
Yeah, I mean, there's been countless firebombings, drive-by shootings. There's been several machete attacks on individuals. Probably one of the most horrific incidents was when a 72-year-old woman who's linked to the Daniel family and a 12-year-old boy who was in a house with her, they were both attacked by a gang who kicked their way in into the house. There's been it's been pretty constant for the last 3.5 months. Every other day there's something, as you said, Niall. It may just be quite, window smashed or a front door burnt, but there's something most days.
And nonetheless, Police Scotland see it as so serious that they've launched Operation Portaledge, and clearly they have been gathering intelligence about who's who and trying to not only respond to incidents but also to sort of get in there first to stop them. Now it's Police Scotland that have said, and we'll move really to this double murder in May, just at the end of May in the Costa del Sol. Quite incredible when you hear that whole story, that it's the powerful side that these two guys are on, and one of whom is, has been a marked man since he walked free from that courtroom, I suppose. It gives us an idea of how significant these two victims are. Having heard all that, it sounds like the Daniels crime group, as it was, doesn't have the power to take on the Lyons grouping. And it would also look from afar and from the outside as if it would be a stupid thing to do unless you really want to be annihilated once and for all.
Well, you're not the first person to have pointed that out, Nicola. That is absolutely what the case is. If they want to press the self-destruct button, then that's what they will have done. I mean, the word has been, as I said, that Eddie Lyons Jr. was wrong place, wrong time, collateral damage. The main target was Monaghan. Originally, the story was Monaghan had fallen out with an English-based drugs gang over a debt. There was even earlier on in the week, there was rumours that there was something to do with the seizure. I think it was £150 million worth of drugs on the MV Matthew. In some way, Monaghan was linked into that. It's just a guessing game.
And, as you're talking about that there, it seems to me, and Niall would probably back me up on this, but, there was very confusing things happened at a particular point of time before an incredibly confusing thing happened, which was when the Hutch organisation took on the might of the Kinahan mob. And you nearly wouldn't have believed any of those things in real time when they were happening. The Hutch organisation discovered that they had bitten off way more than they could chew. I think they believed they had the backing of probably paramilitaries here in Ireland, plus other criminal groupings that they had long-term associations with. I think there was a belief that the Kinahans had kind of pissed everyone off by being so successful, and that all the little guys would band together against them. That didn't happen. And what resulted was a feud which was, very one-sided in Dublin over 18 months. I think 18 people were murdered largely in this country on the ground. And the Kinahan organisation showed its force, its power, its money. And, I think the reaction it had to the Regency Hotel ultimately became its downfall. It became the subject of interest for the DEA, for the FBI, for, European police forces, and they just became this enemy of the state as such. But what we didn't believe happened or could have happened or was happening, happened. And, an attempt made on the life of Daniel Kinahan prior to the Regency Hotel attack, which happened after a drunken night out on the Costa del Sol, and the innocent boxer Jamie Moore ended up getting shot in the front garden. That story seemed so incredulous. It never felt like it could come out the way it did. And it was quite simply a previous and pretty amateur attempt on the life of Daniel Kinahan, the head of the grouping.
As you know, you can't rule anything out in organised crime. It may well be that the Daniels have decided enough is enough and we're just going to react. But as you said, it's almost pressing the self-destruct button. It'll be interesting to see because something will happen, what the fallout is, whether it's this weekend, next week, but that there will be a reaction, I'm sure, one way or the other.
And no doubt Police Scotland are, in their communications to the media and what they have to say, they are trying to negate that kind of reaction on home turf in Scotland. They do not want the guns brought out and, people getting shot dead in intensive feuding within communities where innocent people could easily get caught up in that. Are they trying to keep a lid on it, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, since Operation Portalage, which the investigation into the ongoing feuds has been launched, they've made 47 arrests. There's been a lot of people in court. There was several people in court in the last couple of days, 2 on an attempted murder, willful fire raising. I mean, they are making inroads. But as you know, there's a conveyor belt of these people at the lower end of. You take one off, there's another one pops on.
And in contrast to that, with the police trying to keep a lid on it, the social media, it's all being played out in social media, just like we had the Hutch Kinahan feud to an extent.
Is there taunting and all going on?
Totally. I mean, it's quite incredible, isn't it, Richard? Some of what's being put up on social media.
Well, it's incredible, but also what astonishes me is it's so slick. It is so professional, and it's online within hours of attacks taking place. There's music dubbed over it. There's online threats. It's not in any way higgledy-piggledy. It's really done well. It's a professional online presence and saying, this is what we're doing, this is what we're going to do.
And is that all coming from one side or both?
Just coming from Tamo Junto.
It's a modern feature of feuding, and we've seen it here in Dublin. Some of them more professional than others, but they use it as propaganda, and of course as a tool for intimidation.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's very well done, but it's also, if you're on the wrong end of it, it would be very intimidating and quite frightening, I would imagine.
It's like their marketing department.
Yeah.
No doubt we're going to come back to this, Richard, but for the moment, that background is fascinating to people both inside and outside Scotland. This double murder on the Costa is going to be a story that will continue into the next weeks and no doubt months.
Yeah.
The 2 victims will be brought back to Scotland, where funeral services might be flashpoints or...
Yeah, there are even rumours of a joint funeral. Apparently, there's word that some representatives from the Kinahans have said they will be attending to support the families. That could be interesting. Obviously, that's something the police don't want. But yeah, both either funerals separately or funeral together will be a who's who of Scottish and probably Irish criminality.
And I think as well, another element of modern criminality is that these funerals are used as a showcase. They're choreographed really as, a look into their power and their strength. And certainly some of the funerals that were held here in Dublin, in particular that of David Byrne, was essentially a mafia. I mean, it was a show of. It was frightening. It was quite scary to see it.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a show of strength. It's a show of this is who we are. I mean, you've seen it. Niall's seen it. They will force shops to shut down, businesses to close, and it's a very intimidatory time.
Well, Richard, we'll come back to you over the coming. I'm sure, no doubt, maybe there might be some developments in it over the next week or two, and we'll certainly come back to it because there's huge interest here and obviously in your own country to all these goings on in gangland. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Richard.
Pleasure.
I'm Nicola Tallant and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.